Hello everybody, it's Andy Crofts and welcome back to episode 4 of The Terror Cellar. Yes, that's right, it's my new podcast, as I've said in the last episodes, and it's going well. I've had a few teething problems, purely because teething problems happen, you know. Like when I upload the audio to YouTube, I've noticed for some reason YouTube is making it quieter. So if you have been listening on there, I'll sort it out, okay, so don't worry. But everything else on all the other streaming platforms sounds good and hunky-dory. So thank you very much if you've been listening. Please remember, just quickly before I get on with the story, to send in your stories to the Terror Cellar podcast at gmail.com. And just, anything you've got, send it over and I'd love to feature it on the show. And if you could please just like and follow my podcast online and leave some reviews, that'd be fab. But anyway, I've got a great story today. It's a creepy one, a really creepy one, and you got to get on this. So sit back, turn off the lights, get in the zone, and get ready for The Girl on the Stairs. This story happened to me in 1976, East London. I lived in a small house with my mum and dad, sister Katie and our cat. I was 16 at the time and much older than my sister Katie, who was only 6. Being a boy and 10 years older than my sister, I naturally wasn't that keen on playing dolls and other little sort of girly games with my sister Katie. But she would sometimes beg me and say things like, please, or Charlie, please play with me. And it felt like a daily occurrence and I almost dreaded her saying it. We had some family up in Liverpool, and every now and again we would travel up to see them and stay for a weekend. We had been doing this for years and of course returning the favour if they ever came to visit us. My parents decided to make another trip to Liverpool, as it had been a year since the last visit, but this time I was to stay at home alone for the first time, as I was now 16, and they trusted me to be responsible and grown up. As this was 1976, we didn't have all the luxuries of today, such as satellite TV, internet and mobile phones, so I'd spend time reading magazines and books, watching the basic TV we had back then, which was just a few channels, and listening to records. In our house, there was always a record playing. My parents and sister left for Liverpool early on the Friday morning with a plan of returning late Sunday evening. When they left, I was so happy to have the house to myself and was lounging around for hours, blasting my records and just enjoying my newfound freedom. The Friday and Saturday were bliss, and I had the best time just doing my thing completely undisturbed. The Sunday, on the other hand, was very different. As it was just turning to evening, I decided to run myself a bath and have a nice soak with some music on before my parents and sister returned. The small bathroom was straight at the top of the staircase, with the 2 bedroom doors either side facing. Before I got in the bath, I decided to put on my David Bowie record, as I knew the song so well and could kinda gauge how long I had in the bath before having to turn the record over. I also had to have it at full volume, just so I could hear it from the bathroom. I was laying in the bath, enjoying the music, when the record started to play at a strangely slow speed, almost like it was faulty. Annoyed, I stood up and started to get out of the bath to go check, but the second I stepped my leg out, the music went back to normal. So I sat back down and didn't think anything of it, and just carried on soaking. A few minutes later, I was laying there with my eyes closed and the record player did the slow thing again. But this time, it came to a complete stop, making the house deadly silent. I didn't rush to get up straight away just in case it came back on like last time. Plus, my house was very cold as we didn't put the heating on much just to save money, so I wasn't keen on getting out in a hurry. I sat there in the deadly silence for a while, the only noise being a dripping tap which seemed to get louder and louder with each drop. The silence felt so loud as I sat perfectly still. I started to hear noises coming from the living room downstairs, like the rummaging sound of someone looking through drawers. I tried to listen a little harder, but then started to try and rationalise it by thinking it must just be my cat climbing on the sides and knocking things down or something. At the bottom of the stairs is a door that acts as a divider between the living room and the staircase. This is where something happened that I will never forget. Still sat in complete silence, I heard the downstairs door open. I was expecting the cat to come running up the stairs, but nothing. Although I didn't hear the door shut, I heard it open a second time, but this time followed by a little voice.
Charlie, please play with me.
I sat motionless, barely breathing, and not quite knowing what to do. I built up some courage just to shout down the stairs and break the silence. Mum, are you back? Mum? I thought maybe I didn't hear them come back in the house as my music was loud, but no answer. Just more deafening silence. The bathroom door was shut, so I wasn't able to see anything down the stairs. It did cross my mind that maybe my parents and sister Katie were playing a trick on me, as I heard the little girl's voice clear as day, and I swore it was Katie. As I sat motionless, the little voice repeated,
Please play with me. Charlie, please play with me.
Then I heard slow footsteps walking up the stairs and approaching my bathroom door. The stairs were carpeted, so the footsteps were very quiet, but I could hear just enough as they rose higher and higher. At this point I was terrified. It almost felt like a nightmare when you try to scream, but nothing comes out. I trembled with fear, expecting the door to burst open and see God knows what would be standing there. I heard the footsteps reach the top. They paused and then immediately returned back down the stairs. Still sat in the deathly silence, I could hardly breathe. I then heard more noise from the living room, and then the record player started up again, continuing the loud music as if nothing happened. After the silence, the record was uncomfortably loud, and I kind of felt claustrophobic in the small bathroom. I stayed in that bath with the door shut until the water was cold, completely afraid to get out. Eventually, I heard my parents return and call my name. I was so glad to hear them and finally get out of the bath. I never felt at ease in that house again after that, but what's weird is that it never happened again. Well, not to me anyway. One thing I can say though is the presence I felt was evil. Evil and mischievous. It had a darkness that seemed to swallow up the air in the house, and especially in the bathroom where I was sat. It wasn't a peaceful feeling at all. As I was getting out of the bath, my dad shouted up the stairs, "How long has the cat been locked in the garden?" Thank you, Charlie Richards, for sending in that amazingly creepy story. I don't know what to say there, because we can all picture ourselves in that situation, can't we? You know, imagine being in the house alone. And I think for me, what would scare me the most out of all of that situation, apart from hearing noises and footsteps, is the mimic voice of your sister. The fact that your sister's voice was, recorded by this entity to the point where it sounded like she was at the bottom of the stairs. That is freaky, and that's the kind of nightmare I've had throughout my life. That kind of thing where I'd see my mum or something stood at the bottom of the stairs or the top, and I wouldn't know if it's the real mum. This mimic thing, it's really scary. But what a great story, and thanks for sending it in. It was a pleasure to read. So this is the end of episode 4. Thank you very much for listening in, and especially all of you out there who are supporting my new podcast. Okay, it's great to have people jumping on board so soon, and it's like I keep saying, it's early days. It's going to take a while to grow and get my alien tentacles out there across all the people. So please do me a favour, and if you know anyone who likes this sort of stuff, please tell them to come and have a listen and follow my podcast. And I will see you for episode 5. But as I always say, don't have nightmares. Bye bye.